orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Magical menstruation. Let's talk about the spiritual purpose of menstruation. It is an accepted idea that in our culture, women are cursed with their time of the month. Menstruation is viewed as an untimely, unsightly experience that women need to endure, like some kind of extension of this idea of the biblical punishment for the sin of having been born a woman. Except that this is bullshit. Prior to modern religious teaching that menstruation is impure, dirty, and unholy, and the allopathic views that it's inconvenient and better to be controlled and this disposable thing, menstruation was actually considered to be a magical and powerful event by cultures all over the world. A woman's moon was a time of deep introspection when she had access to the unseen realms and her own deeper self. This was thought to be the time when the door between worlds opened. And this door was actually the cervix. This is the doorway between life and death, and it opens during birth, and it opens monthly during menstruation. This is the line between this dimension and the other when they become much more permeable and accessible. So this viewpoint has been perverted over the years. So instead of viewing this as a time of power, which it is, women are now shamed and made to feel embarrassed and to disown this incredibly potent tool for self-realization. And now then this becomes inverted upon themselves, because what else does suppressed energy do? It comes out in all kinds of mutated ways, like depression, lethargy, pain, cramps, headaches, foggy headedness. There is always a cost to disowning your power. So let's set a few things straight here and dispel some menstrual myths. Myth number 1, periods are just hard and exhausting and painful and difficult. They are God's curse on women. Well, that's fucking bullshit. So that sounds about as truthful as the idea that having birth or giving birth was supposed to hurt because God thought that all women were hoes. No, nothing in your body is supposed to make you feel like shit as a natural course of being. Having difficult periods, for that matter, or crazy menopause means that something's wrong. Do you honestly think that nature, or if this is your belief system, God, set out to punish you for being a woman? The only punishing has been self and societal inflicted and absorbed by women's psyches and bodies as truth. But it isn't. Pain and discomfort are signs of stuck sexual energy. Although there may be really great solutions that involve diet and lifestyle, in my view, there is always an underlying deeper emotional, psychological, or spiritual cause. And once you find that and you work with it, you can actually solve the problem. But the biggest root cause is simply stuck, stagnant, disowned sexual energy. So by this, I mean women who are disconnected from themselves, from their reproductive organs, from their sexuality, from their vaginas. And that dissociation manifests then as all of these symptoms. And so when women pick up the cultural messages that periods are a pain in the butt, and why would you even want them? And aren't you so glad that we can just give you hormone blockers? And then when you have fertility problems down the road and you have breast cancer, you can come back as a perpetual client and patient. This is the allopathic OBGYN MO. So this solution to a difficult period or PMS isn't taking hormonal birth control to suspend your period forever. That's like saying that abstinence is a reliable method of birth control. It really works. Is this even a solution? It's like cutting off your arm if you broke it and saying that you no longer have the problem. Um, right, but now you have much bigger ones. You can find a solution. Listen to your body instead of overriding its messages to you. I have seen over and over again that once women truly come into contact with and own their sexual energy and power, their menstrual, premenstrual, and menopausal issues evaporate. No pills required, only becoming a well-fucked woman. Single or coupled, you can still be well-fucked. The truth is that menstruation can and ought to be an easy, even pleasurable time when a woman has the opportunity to tap into a deeper part in herself and her unconscious and to other dimensions of existence. You don't need drugs to get there. You can do it for free every month. And if this isn't working for you and your periods feel anything but that, then listen up because I have solutions for you in the latter part of this episode. So, in other cultures and in ancient times, especially in First Nations cultures, men did vision quests and sweat lodges, and women had periods. So women had access to this monthly power portal opening simply as part of being a woman. And these cultures recognized that men didn't have this, and so they had to deliberately seek it out in the form of some kind of ceremonies that would hopefully bring them into an altered state of consciousness, such as sweat lodges or vision quests. This is the truth. You can get high and access your own altered states of consciousness simply through your monthly menstruation. It's just like childbirth. It was intended to be orgasmic, ecstatic, and a deep spiritual initiation for women, not a surgical opportunity to be managed by men, drugs, or surgery. Periods are the same. They don't need managing, and if they do, your body's trying to tell you something. So instead of gagging it with carcinogenic hormonal birth control, figure out what your body is trying to say to you and then listen to it. Our bodies are full of wisdom and information for us if we're willing to take that on. Part of my work with clients in my salons is to help people decipher these messages, not to ignore or silence them. So big myth number 2 is the idea that menstruation is a time when a woman is dirty and unholy. So contrary to some popular cultural mythology, menstruating women are not a threat to temples and other supposed holy sacred places because they are, quote, impure during menstruation. Yes, women are a force to be reckoned with during this time, but not because they're dirty. It's because they're ultra powerful. And yes, that power can just blow apart the entire temple and the energy in it. So this strange societal beliefs that have been perpetuated for a while now that periods are this dark, sinister, shameful thing, or this is just a made up story. These are lies. The truth is really the opposite. The truth is that menstruation is a power portal. Menstruation and menopause, for that matter, are windows to tap into and harness your creative, psychic, and spiritual power. If you learn to truly honor your period, you'll find that you can easily enter into a state of altered consciousness. And no, not because you're in debilitating pain, because that's what they're there for if you let them do their job. They are these windows into higher pieces and parts of yourself. And this becomes a time of renewal and even spiritual rebirth, similar to an orgasm. So I'll just, do the caveat here because we live in a time where people get massively defensive if you are to suggest anything like personal responsibility. So I'll just unpack this and just be clear that I'm not blaming and shaming women for having challenging periods. I'm not blaming or shaming anyone ever. Well, only certain people like OBGYNs who really deserve to be blamed and shamed. But what I'm saying is that you've been fed a bunch of propaganda and lies about your menstruation that make it a highly profitable endeavor for allopathic medicine to step into your lives and your wombs. And if you're into that, then have at it. But if you'd like to actually explore permanent solutions, then stick around here. My work is all about returning power to its ultimate source, you. And if you somehow got off track along the way and forgot that you have the ability to heal yourself, then I can help show you the way back. I've done this for thousands of women and I can do it for you. So let's talk about solutions. Solution number one is to get well fucked, whether you are single or coupled. This really is number one. The primary reason for difficult periods, PMS, and menopause is stuck sexual energy. I used to have really challenging PMS until I made a massive breakthrough in my own sexual journeying. And so for years, right after ovulation, I felt like my energy just dropped out. I was lethargic. I felt dumber. I was depressed. I was really struggling. And this is despite having an ultra healthy lifestyle, organic food, great exercise regime, meditation, all of these things. And it wasn't until I passed through a major sexual turning point in my life that all of that PMS stuff just evaporated. So getting your sexual energy moving consciously is huge. The other thing that I have done is conscious control of my periods. Yes, you can do this, and I've been doing this for the past 25 years. I did a podcast with Wim Hof last summer, and we talked about how we can both consciously control our autonomic nervous systems, or it's also called the ANS. So he does this through controlling his body's response to cold, and I do it through controlling my body's menstrual cycle. And these are both things that we're told by science that we have no control over. These are automatic functions of our body, period. Except, no. Like, I've been able to consciously control the frequency of my periods for the past 25 years. And for years, I chose to have them only every 3 months. And then I bumped that to every 6 months. And over the last year or so, I just decided to stop having them because I know at this stage of my life that I'm not going to have any more children. And so I use a variety of Qigong techniques to convert that energy into creative life force energy. So instead of building up all of that energy to have a baby each month, I turn this into energy that I can use and channel out into the world, into my work, into my life, into everything that I do. When I was choosing to menstruate and I used these techniques, they made my menstruation really easy and light and energizing. Like I said, I tapped into these opportunities as spiritual portals where I could access these different states of consciousness within myself. So these are conscious practices that every woman can learn and that I teach. So the third solution is vaginal kung fu. So as I said, the main issue for difficult periods is being disconnected from your own sexuality. And just because you're having sex doesn't mean you're connected. If you have these really short, quick, kind of bust them out to put yourself to sleep clitoral orgasms, I would say that you're not well fucked because you aren't reaching the true depths of what's available to you in the entire repertoire of sexuality, and particularly in your vagina. So here are a few questions. Are you naturally wet all of the time? Do you have G-spot, cervical, and ejaculating orgasms? Do you have a high libido? Can you shoot ping pong balls with your vagina? When you have sex, are you deeply rejuvenated, transformed, ecstatically pleasured, and you feel like your life was changed? Because that is what being sexually connected and well fucked looks like. And I would also add that it looks like having enjoyable and even blissful periods and menopause. Or if not blissful, then, passing without a blip on the radar, meaning there's no difficulty, there's no destruction, there's no discomfort. If you are disconnected from your vagina, then you are disconnected from your sexuality. And the truth is that most women have numb vaginas, both from underuse, not being well fucked, and from a lack of proper exercise, for example, using a jade egg, and then also from being a repository for unresolved trauma. All of these things, especially unresolved issues, trauma, negative experiences, unresolved emotional stuff that you haven't processed, it lodges itself into the tissues of the vagina and the reproductive organs, eventually causing everything from low libido to painful intercourse to difficulty lubricating and having painful periods. This is all a buildup of unresolved stuff. And so to me, in my whole holistic belief system, the body registers everything. The body does not lie. We can try to lie to ourselves, but these things will show up in the body sooner or later. And coming to the vagina, and in terms of exercising it, obviously I'm very well known for exercising my vagina and igniting a worldwide trend of exercising vaginas. Just like any other muscle in the body, if you don't exercise it, the muscles atrophy, and then you don't feel anything there. You aren't able to tap into the energetic, creative bliss potential of this, your whole power source, your reproductive organs, your vagina. And then you probably have the sense that you can take or leave sex, or at least intercourse, because there isn't much going on there. There wouldn't be much feeling. But when you strengthen, reconnect to, and activate the vagina, yes, then you get all of the physical benefits of things like reversing urinary incontinence, upping your libido, having vaginal orgasms, profuse lubrication, and incredible pleasure. But now you are also connected to the core of your being, literally and metaphysically. This becomes your guiding compass in the world. You develop the ability to tap into this power source, your sexual and creative energy, and shape your world with it. And I often talk about this. I use the hashtag powered by vagina because I say that I have created my world, the world that reality that I'm very happy with, that essentially is a composite of all of my dreams that I wanted to bring to life into the world, courtesy of my vagina, courtesy of my sexual energy, because I know how to tap into it and use it as a creative source, as this sculpting tool to manifest what I want in the world. This is your number one tool for manifestation, is your sexual energy. So the reason why so many women experience menstrual issues isn't because it's normal, although a prescription writing doctor would have you think so. It's because these women are totally disconnected from their sexual energy, and then it inverts upon them. So it's like trying to stop the flow of a volcano. I always use this analogy for sexual energy. It's like, imagine going up to a volcano and trying to put some plywood, put a bunch of plywood on top of it, just stop it from blowing up. You can't stop it. It just ends up blowing the lid off of all kinds of other things. Or if you stop it there, it's going to erupt someplace else, right? It'll find another spot and come out. And that's where it can come out in all of these kinds of symptoms that we've talked about. So being connected to your sexuality and your vagina are your number one tools to reverse these patterns, seize control of your life, and enjoy the pleasures of having a female body. Women have been brainwashed for millennia to think that they need a lab coat or a pill or a pair of stirrups or an outside source to tell them the truth about their own bodies. And I did a great podcast on this last week called Real Cures versus Obsolete OBGYNs. You don't need these things. Or look, if you want them, go nuts. You can have them. But I'm asserting that once you get very tuned into and connected to your body, you become your own authority. You and your vagina know. And all you need to do is listen to your body, to your vagina, to your inner guidance. You clear away the debris and the interference that stops this direct contact to your deepest source of wisdom, and you let it flow. So these are all things that I teach in the Vaginal Kung Fu Salon. Everything from breathing techniques to properly clear out sexual blockages in your energy meridians in your system. I talk about trauma resolving techniques, and I teach the exact steps that I use to have the conscious control over my menstruation. And you don't have to stop your periods if you don't want to. That was something that I chose to do. Many women use these techniques simply to have easier, as I said, blissful, spiritual, self-actualizing menstruation and, PMS, like to resolve any of those issues, and use these as powerful portals into other levels of yourself. You don't have to stop menstruation if that doesn't resonate with you. It resonates with me. And so I did that. And even if you did stop it, you can always bring it back just by ceasing to do these exercises. And that was something that I experimented with early on, is that I would try these exercises and immediately start to expand the length of my menstrual cycle. And then as soon as I would stop them, it would go back down to its regular cycle. And even though I had some pretty major issues with PMS, I always had a regular 28-day menstrual cycle. And it was relatively easy compared to a lot of women's stories that I hear. I had some light cramping, on maybe sometimes light to somewhat moderate, not too bad though, nothing debilitating, all manageable stuff. Anyway, but that also diminished. And then, like I said, I just basically got high through having my period. And that's, like I say, that's what it's really meant to do. So you can learn to take charge of your own body and harness your own inherent power. These things are all teachable or relearnable once you remove whatever things are blocking you accessing that power. And part of it is just reprogramming. Part of this is just a belief system that's been perpetuated and sold by the allopathic medical community, because if they are able to manage your reproductive health from basically first period all the way through menopause, they have a client for life. I've often said that women, menopausal women, are the cash cow for OBGYNs, but it's pretty much like women in general. If you can get them on pills from puberty all the way through the end of their lives, you have a client forever. So I'm much more into the idea that in terms of what I do, you can teach someone some skills and then send them on their way, and they have these skills for life. Vaginal Kung Fu is coming soon. Are you coming? Vaginal Kung Fu is my legendary 8-week online salon on all things vaginal, reproductive, and sexual. It's all about getting back in touch, getting strong, connected, and articulate in the vagina and in your entire life. You can check out my free video preview series and the salon registration at kimanami.com/vaginal-kung-fu. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe and also leave a review. And send someone else the gift of a healthy libido and an off-the-charts love life by sharing this episode with them. We'll be back next week, and in the meantime, many happy orgasms.